Hey there, good evening, everyone. It's Tracy, your teen life coach. And so I just wanted to get on and talk about just a few things with you guys. I don't plan on being on here for very long. Hope everybody's week has been good so far. We're here in the middle of our week, and I know I'm ready for the end of the week. Not gonna lie. It's been a good week though, just busy. So ready for the end of the week. So, just wait maybe a few seconds and see if anybody jumps on. We're going to get started pretty quickly. Um, just wanted to come on and kind of go into our next topic. I'll probably get on maybe later on this week and elaborate a little bit more, but I just wanted to touch on this. I had a couple talks with a few different people this week so far, and same kind of reoccurring theme about their just communicating with their young people. And so since we're going to close out this month with communication, I wanted to come on here and just continue from where I left off and give a little taste of what we're going to talk about next time. We'll see how deep we get on this because it's kind of late. So I'll just do a little recap. Last time I got on, I talked about what it meant to be listening intentionally, because that was something that I realized that uh, I hadn't necessarily had an experience with one of my kids, and realized that I hadn't been listening intentionally. I was listening. I was um, really had good intentions, but did not really ask the right questions or really listen in the way that I should. So it definitely was a lesson for me. I gave an example of when I was cleaning out my closet and I had realized that I had a lot of empty boxes in my closet. They were all stacked neatly and nicely as if I was saving them for something later, but they were not being put to any use. And sometimes our words can be like that when we talk to our kids or other young people that we maybe work with or have some type of relationship with. Our words are like empty boxes, and it's meant. We mean well, but the placement and delivery don't come out the way we want. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into my subject. Today I wanted to talk about why talking doesn't work, right? So you're talking, you're trying to be intentional, trying to listen, and you're talking and it still is not working. So why is that? And I wanted to talk about some common reasons why your teen or young adult may not be communicating well with you. Um, so the number one reason is fear of failure. Okay, so I believe that can go both ways. Fear of failure, the teen can have fear of failure, or the parent can have fear of failure. Um, you know, fear that this conversation is going to go nowhere. You know, fear that the same thing that I said last time is not going to is going to bring me the same result this time, which is going to be a negative one or one that just doesn't work. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to talk to this teenager or talk to this young adult, and nothing is going to change. Same thing with the young person. I'm going to have this conversation with this adult or with my parents, my grandparents, my teacher, my counselor, and I'm still going to feel the same. Nothing's going to change, right? Or a fear of failing at what it is they need to do better at. And so instead of communicating and telling you why they're struggling, they kind of just shut down. They don't communicate. Okay, so fear of failure. Second common reason that young people or teens do not communicate is social anxiety or social awkwardness. There are some people who believe that anxiety and depression in teens and young adults is something that they need to get over, something that is worked up, something that is culturally acceptable here in the United States and people from other countries don't experience that, or people from, different family backgrounds have different ideas about anxiety and depression. I believe that anxiety and depression are very real, and they are mental illnesses that need to be addressed. I believe that all people experience some form of anxiety at some point or time in their life. I think that it is normal to experience a certain amount of anxiety. You get anxious, you get nervous, you get, you know, on edge um, regarding certain things, and that's perfectly normal. You're human. You're supposed to kind of falter and learn from your mistakes. You're not supposed to be 100% perfect at all times. So anxiety is a real thing, and normal amounts of anxiety are acceptable. You don't stay in that spot, but it's definitely acceptable. So when a young person has social anxiety, it causes them, it's not just about their peers. It's not that they're socially, awkward with kids their own age or people their own age. They're socially awkward, or they have social anxiety about all the relationships that they have with teachers, with their, with adults, period, with the bank teller, with the person at the drive-through. It doesn't, it's not, it doesn't pick certain people. That anxiety doesn't pick certain people or certain situations. They feel that way in all situations. I would venture to say they can feel that way even with their parents, especially if those lines of communication have not really been well established, or as they became teenagers, that changed. People who have not necessarily communicated well with their children up until the teenage years, and then feel like, well, you're older now, you should have a better understanding of how to talk and how to communicate. I feel like they don't realize that that has to start at a younger age. It's not just like, oh, you're a teenager now, you should know how to, carry yourself. No, they don't. They're still developing. They're still children. They're merging into these adults, but we have to model what that behavior looks like. So social anxiety, definitely social anxiety and social awkwardness, kind of it not kind of, but it limits the way they are able to communicate, um, and how. Um, I know a lot of times people say, oh, that's how teenagers are, you know, uh, pointing to something that's common for teenagers to do. Of course, it's true. Young people generally have certain traits and behaviors, but I do believe that you need to, especially educators or people that work with teens. I feel like this is an area in which the communication lacks, is not recognizing social anxiety. That quiet, well-behaved, good student could definitely have that anxiety and awkwardness, and it's very, very difficult for them to communicate when they're not doing well and when they need help. Um, and they may not enjoy that being called out in the middle of class. They may need a separate kind of quiet sit down conversation. So I think that's something that especially like I said, educators, the people that work with teens or young adults should um, keep in mind that they may have a socially anxious student or child in their care, or one that feels awkward and does not have they may definitely want to make a change, but they're nervous to talk even about that, to even open that subject up. So kind of, you as the adult broaching that subject with them and opening that line of communication, they would appreciate it. So as long as it's done in a way that doesn't put them on the spotlight, because they do not like that at all. All right, and so the third is lack of motivation. So your young person may not be communicating with you because they don't know what they want to do. They don't really have anything to say. They feel like they are kind of at a loss. So like I told you guys when I first, I think my first video, I said I'm definitely going to be talking from my own experiences And one of my teens is in that mode right now where I would say it's a lack of motivation, and a little bit of the social anxiety, um, that's affecting their ability to communicate well with me. And so I've been addressing it the last couple of weeks, and we've been working on a plan, which I'll share kind of what that looks like. But the social anxiety causes them to not feel comfortable expressing themselves in any type of way, especially when it has to do with something that's putting them in a negative light. They do not like the spotlight on them, whether it's good or bad. And then additionally, the lack of motivation, meaning saying, saying I don't know. They know the type of person that I am, so they feel as if saying I don't know what I want to do, or I don't know what goal I need to be reaching. They feel like that's an inadequate response, and they feel like it's not going to be accepted. So how I combat that is to reassure and not to take my emotions into the equation. No matter what I might be feeling inside as a parent, I kind of taking an unbiased approach to allow them to express themselves so that they see that that environment is safe. It's an environment where their expression is safe. There's no judgment, there's no anger. I'm definitely firm and I'm consistent. And I will tell them when they say, I don't know, that that's not an acceptable response. I don't know is not an option. So let's find an option. So I patiently just waited. I said, what is your what is your goal? How can I be of a help to you? Right? And I just waited. And they said, well, my goal currently is probably mostly academic. That's what my goal is. I said, okay. So your goal is just to have a plan every day to complete a certain amount of work. That's your goal. You don't have to have a goal outside of that. You don't have to have a goal outside of that one reachable goal. Let me explain the importance of reachable goals. You can have, a teenager can have a plan that they want to graduate high school with their degree, right? With their AA degree. Teenager can have a plan that they want to become a neurologist. They can have a plan that they want to, do anything in the world. But if it's something that's not, if you don't have small attainable goals, it's like you never feel accomplished. And it's especially important for teens and young adults to learn the habit of having small, reachable, and attainable goals. It could be something simple as I believe in chores. I believe in chores and I believe in allowance. I'm not, opposed to either. But chores help young people and kids, preteens, because those 9, 10, 11-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, they're preteens. They need to start learning that uh, positive reinforcement now. And it has to be their responsibility. So this is something you're responsible for. This is my expectation for you. And by me telling you that this is my expectation, I'm letting you know that I have faith that you can accomplish this. That's what chores are. It's something that they do, whether they earn money or not. They may earn gratitude from their parents. They may earn positive rewards. They may earn positive consequences. They may earn, things that maybe it's not monetary, but maybe they earn something. And just that gratification of knowing, hey, this is something I accomplished. My parent is happy. The adult in my life is happy. My caregiver is happy. That's a positive reinforcement. So when you're faced with that lack of motivation, you do have to take that time to allow them to speak. If they say they don't know they don't know, I don't know what I need to do. Tell them that that's not an acceptable option. What can I do to help you figure out a goal? and it's a breakdown. It's a breakdown. It's definitely those taking small steps to get to that one piece. And all they, the only answer that I was given was, I need to focus on my academics. I said, well, that's your goal. That's it right there. You just outlined it. But it wasn't me telling them what to say. It wasn't me suggesting. It was me allowing them to identify that goal, because I believe that, and I tell people this all the time, everything that you need to be successful is inside of you. So when I'm talking to a young person, I want them to find what it is that they need. And it's, for me, I'm kind of like shining a light on that, but I'm not going to go over there, pick it up for them and hand it to them. They have to reach and grab it themselves. And so that is how coaching works. Okay, so the fourth common factor is, this is depression or anxiety. So this is not social anxiety, this is anxiety overall. And depression. So basically sorry, excuse me, guys. Basically the diagnosis of depression or anxiety. So young people that are dealing with depression or anxiety may also need a therapist. I do believe that you can be going through depression and anxiety and work with a coach, but depending on the level of where your child is, they may need therapy, and that's okay. They definitely can do therapy and have a coach, because therapy kind of meets them where they're at. Coaching shows them shows them where they're going. It walks with them where they're going. Okay, I see that you're here, but let's focus on where you want to be, and let's see what we can do. Let me see what we can do to help you get there. That's what coaching is. Okay, so if for the same reason of kind of social anxiety and awkwardness is just more elevated with depression and anxiety, why your young person may not feel comfortable talking to you. It's a dark place. It's a heavy place to be in, and in the climate that we're currently in, I feel like it's very difficult for young people right now. Everything has changed. Work has changed, school has changed, the way they relate to their friends have changed, the way they relax, what they do for entertainment. I put a post the other day, and it was saying, how are you navigating screen time for your kids? Are you getting on them because they're on their electronics more, or do you kind of just let them chill on their electronics? And I think I'm somewhere in the middle with my kids, because I do understand that they have to have some type of escape, but that has to be balanced. That needs to be balanced. You need to also get outside. You need to also be active. You need to also spend time with your family. So sometimes it's hard for young people to pull themselves away from that social media, because it's so enticing and it gives them that comfort feeling. So I have to get involved in doing things with them. So, I have to take breaks from what I'm doing and try to intentionally find those moments. And it's not like it's something you have to do every day, but often enough that you're able to break up that monotony of, them constantly being on their electronics. So kind of giving a healthy balance and being understanding that right now in today's world that they're in, they do still need to connect with friends and their interests. Okay, so, and then this one is a big one in my house: fear of disappointing or letting down. I'm definitely reiterate to them that, you know, even if I am disappointed in something that you're doing, you're not responsible for my emotions. My kids, they can't hold the responsibility of mom's emotions. So that's why I try, when I am addressing them, to keep my emotions out of the picture as best I can. Not a perfect person, but emotions don't fix the problem, uh, and so, not emotions being like I'm cold to them, or dead, dead, a dead spirit, not like that. Anger, or uh, and open frustration. Um, those are not healthy. It's not necessarily a healthy way to handle that situation. So I do. They do know when I'm disappointed. but I the world. I am more I'd be more disappointed if I don't know, because then I'm not able to help. So we talk about that. We talk about strategies. We talk about, when you realize that you're doing something or you're going down a path that's making things difficult for you, why it's important to share and why it's important to communicate that, so that you don't get to a point where you're so far backed up that it's so much harder for you to get to right yourself. So know that that may be a reason why your child doesn't want to, because especially if they look up to you in a positive way, they don't want you to be disappointed. They don't want to let you down. So they may also feel like um, you are dealing with enough yourself as a parent. They our kids see us, they watch us, they know that we're busy with work, they know that the world is stressful right now, they know that life is compounded. So these kids are observant and they're watching, and when they see that, they don't want to add to that, and often it causes them to not communicate and to uh hold on to their struggling and their suffering, so that they're not inconveniencing the people around them. So you be just keep those things in mind: fear of failure, social anxiety or awkwardness, lack of motivation, depression or anxiety, the diagnosis of that, or a fear of disappointing or letting down. Those are all common reasons why your young people may not be communicating with you, whether you're a parent or guardian, or an educator, or just someone who works with young people. Those are just common reasons why they shut down and they stay silent. So I had posted on in my group earlier. If you're not a parent, if you're not a member of ParenTEEN Resources, be sure to go ahead and ask to join. I'd love to have you on if you're a parent of a child between the ages of, I would say, eight and up. Through the teenage years. Um, you definitely, I'd love to have you on there so that we can discuss different strategies, especially right now with communication. That's what we're talking about now, and how you can better communicate with your young person. But I had posted earlier on in the group and was talking about what are some obstacles that some of us face, and one of the parents posted. Sorry, guys, my allergies are literally bothering me. Of course, right as soon as I started to record. One of the parents posted um, that we were taught when we were younger to be quiet. You weren't allowed to have an idea or a thought or a response or a feeling or an emotion. And if you had it, you better not see it. Oh, hi, Larrington. I miss you as well. Thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Um, but we weren't allowed to have that. We weren't allowed to have any of those feelings. And she's right. So I think that those are also, some of those things that I listed: fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of not knowing what to say, not knowing how to proceed. She was saying modeling, not seeing that modeled in our own lives, not having those opportunities to communicate that way in our own families, could definitely hold you back from knowing how to talk with your teenager. I did have a pretty open relationship with my mom, and was really close with my dad. So, but I grew up feeling that way as well, even though I talked to my parents or to my mom a lot. I knew to be quiet when I was supposed to. And I knew not to have, there wasn't really much opportunity to kind of show I don't want to say not emotions because it wasn't necessarily emotions. I just grew up with that same, knowledge, especially in church, especially around church people. You were expected to behave a certain way. So I feel like, we need to keep in mind that some of the practices that we learned as young people ourselves, we cannot bring into these relationships with our year 2020 teenagers, because they definitely are growing up in a world where they're not only more exposed, but I feel like their exposure and their access to technology and their access to uh, world events and cultures, and the way that they have access to it just puts them in a different headspace than we were when we were their age. And I feel as if they're processing how the world works at at an earlier stage. They're processing how the world functions, and the underlying meanings of things so much faster than I think we were. So we're kind of playing catch up, but don't be hey Michael, thank you. Yeah. I feel like, and don't be offended. Adults get offended by that, or they get scared. Um, and they're not going to admit that they're scared, but we're scared. Adults get scared when they see, that they're dealing with a young person who is definitely thinking at a different speed, and then they want to kind of shut that down, and the communication stops, because the child can sense when you're done hearing from them. It's, my way or the highway. That's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work. I would encourage you to educate yourself. I would encourage you to observe. I think that's the way I learned the best, is just watching how teens and young adults um, interact with each other, interact with other adults. You learn a lot about what to do and what not to do, and how to approach them. And I believe that, honestly, if you watch and listen, you will learn a lot about who they are, as a whole, as a group. So, yep, just wanted to come on and talk about that. Um, I will be on probably later on this week, and we'll be moving into the next portion of communicating effectively. Let's see, pull it up real quick. I think it's about using our resources, pretty much. Yeah, because we talked about asking how you can help, and then setting those small, reachable goals. I think maybe next time I'll talk about some of more in depth about how we do goal setting in my house, and some other examples that I'll find, and I'll share those with you guys on Friday. So I thank everybody for watching. I hope you guys have a beautiful night, and I will talk to you later. Goodbye.